Thinking Things, a thought experiment on metals. In this picture, we can see a mass of can rings. But do we ever think about the energy and the material and the workforce that goes into the production of these cans? So how do the can rings differ from other metal objects, such as, for example, my jewellery? I know that I attach a lot of meaning to this jewellery, and I'm wondering that maybe people in the past did the same. Material culture can be defined as any object made by humans, which can include buildings, tools, or objects of art. In our everyday lives, we're surrounded by objects. Some of them we don't attach any importance to, while other ones, for example the jewellery I showed earlier, we attach emotional meaning to it. This book, A Survey of Metaphysics, gave me the idea to explore metals through metaphysical concepts. If we look at two theories concerning the origins of metals, the first one stipulates that humans invented metallurgy as the result of a race for technical. The second theory suggests metallurgy was invented because humans wanted to fulfill their desire for bodily adornments and prestige items. One of the earliest examples of metals used for bodily adornment can be found at the cemetery of Varna in Bulgaria. The word metaphysics directly translates to beyond physics. So the metaphysical branch of philosophy looks at entities that cannot be studied by the natural sciences. Now, I will explain the notion of qualitative change, which, as the name indicates, is a change in quality. So that could be the color, the size, or the shape. The book gives the example of a piece of wire. Consider, for instance, a piece of wire which is thought to change from being straight to being bent, so that at first it possesses the quality of being straight and later the quality of being bent. Now something which is bent is, for that very reason, not straight. The quality of being bent is incompatible with the quality of being straight. How then can it be true for one and the same object that it is both straight and bent? In more simple and visual terms, this is a piece of wire that is straight. Now, this is a piece of wire that is bent. If being bent and being straight are two inherent properties of the metal wire, how does this work? Because they're mutually exclusive. This is where we need the theory of temporal parts. Temporal parts are different parts of the same object which exist at different moments in time. This concords with the Perdurance theory, which stipulates objects persist through time in virtue of possessing successive temporal parts, so that, on this view, only part of a persisting object, its current temporal part, is present at any one time during its existence. As an archaeologist, if you found this metal earring, you would of course study the composition and how it's made, but ultimately you would use this metal earring as a metaphor for me, the past human, who used to wear it. This brings us to the definition of materiality, which can be defined as a concept that embraces the relationship between people and objects, but is sometimes more concerned by the physicality of things, their matter, and the mechanical process of their making. Some people have argued that this is a new kind of fetishism, but I would like to think that it is a way to redress the balance between humans and objects. Whether alloys were discovered intentionally or accidentally, it is not just the human technical prowess which makes an alloy, it is also two elements which can form chemical bonds that allow us to make these alloys. Agency is an action or intervention producing a particular effect. It is a concept often used in archaeology, but it is mostly applied to humans. Nonetheless, we can also apply it to objects. This is not claiming that objects have a will of their own, but that they can also have a certain influence on humans. If we look at Latour's actor network philosophy, this means that the social sphere is constructed by different interactions between humans and humans, humans and objects and objects. If a human actor and a non-human actor, such as objects, interact to a very high degree, this creates so-called hybrids. Latour gives the example of the combination of a human with a gun. A more archaeological example would be the human sword. So this might lead us to think about the legend of Arthur and his sword Excalibur. In some of these legends, Excalibur is imbued with magical powers. While this might seem a bit irrational for us today, we shouldn't deny the possibility that past humans would ascribe magical property to metal objects. Archaeologists have found that metal objects were often used in ritual contexts, such as temples. When analyzing Mesopotamian cuneiform tablets, they have found that metals such as gold and silver, so-called noble metals, are not only associated with the divine, but also, to some extent, are considered to be divine themselves. During this video, I have tried to explore how metaphysical concepts and the notions of materiality and agency in archaeological theory can be applied to metals.